Is it better, John?
Yes.
Nice.
What did you like? When did you like jump back and jump back in, and now you have a Jets jersey on? This is crazy.
He's got his
I love
Aaron
it.
Rodgers jersey on.
Oh, you got it already? I expect nothing less.
Punk.
Hold on. I'm just pulling up my notes. Give me a second.
Okay.
I'm pulling up my notes.
Are you changing into another Jets jersey?
He's gonna have an Aaron Rodgers
No,
mask on.
Right? Or is it the Aaron Rodgers away?
He's gonna
Did
be
you have?
smoking. It's the Aaron Rodgers alternate. It's the black
Did you
one.
get the Garrett Wilson?
Garrett Wilson would be a nice jersey to get if he stays healthy and he stays with the Jets. The only Jets jerseys you can actually buy right now are Joe Namath. What's his name? Don Maynard. Don Maynard. You could wear a Klecko jersey. You could wear Darrelle Revis.
What about Curtis Martin?
And you could wear Curtis Martin. Yeah. And that's about it. And that's the list, guys. Those are the only Jets jerseys you can actually wear. And maybe Chad Pennington too. Like, let's give Chad his due. You could wear that if you like. You could like rock the old school 10. You know. But there's not a lot of Jets jerseys you can actually wear with pride. That one that John's wearing is just an absolute clown show.
Lavernius Coles.
No.
I just have his Jets card.
But you know whose jersey like I would love to be able to wear, but he didn't play long enough was Santonio Holmes because he was a great Jet for a very short period of time. But he was number 10. He was number 10 also. Welcome to another edition of the Always Sunday Football Podcast. I'm Dave, joined as I am always by Jonny. I love Aaron Rodgers already. Ortiz, how you doing, John?
Doing well. Let's go, Rodgers.
And Anthony wearing his Giants gear. How's it going, Anthony?
It's going great, man. How you doing?
Spectacular. Thank you for asking. Spectacular.
Always rocking for headphones.
Yeah, it's better this way. I'm sorry if there's a little background noise this time. I'm in a different environment. And so we're going to take a look at the upcoming fantasy season, fellas, because it's now June 15th. It's officially like, guys are being cut. Right now, Dalvin Cook is a free agent. DeAndre Hopkins is a free agent. There's a lot of interesting stuff still left to go, right? Like these are two huge names that are going to completely change the fantasy prospects of whatever teams they land on. So it's going to be interesting to see how things shake out and if our rankings end up changing, which like whatever team, we'll just say right now, because we're going to be doing quarterbacks and tight ends, whatever team gets DeAndre Hopkins, that quarterback is going to be bumped up a couple notches, I think, on all of our boards. But, that remains to be seen. So we'll wait on that. Before we get into the nuts and bolts, basically what I asked the guys to do was give us the top 12 ranking, their top 12 ranking of quarterbacks and tight ends, the onesie positions going into the season. When you wrote it down, John, and looked at it without giving away your picks, because we'll go into the actual picks in a minute, or the numbers in a minute. When you look back at, like, when you wrote it all down and then you just like looked at it as a whole, were there any names that surprised you? Where you were like, damn, I thought I'd have this guy higher, or I thought I'd have this guy lower. Did you surprise yourself when you looked at it, or did everything kind of line up to you?
No, actually, I thought my first six picks were pretty easy, and after my first six, there was a significant drop.
Okay.
It was like, okay, I need to do a little more research on these guys, and I had to be realistic about my 7 to 12. I'm going to put it that way. I think my 1 through 6 is going to be, no surprise to anybody, but I definitely think my 7 to 12 is definitely, I think I'm going to anger somebody in this. Somebody.
Oh, we'll see.
Anthony's going to get angry.
We'll see. I mean, hey, look, you never know. Anthony, when you looked at your list, when you like took a step back, where were you? Where did you land?
I think John basically summed it up. I mean, at least for quarterbacks, like the first handful should be the same names for the most part, just maybe jumbled around a little. And then tight ends, just maybe 4 or 5 fifth guys, and then it's just kind of like who knows. So to be honest, when I was sitting here with it for a little, I was like, I want to really tone in on this, and I kind of looked at both position top 10 last year, kind of just have a little reference.
Interesting.
And I actually have the numbers next to all my guys, so it'll be a reference on where they finished fantasy in regular season last year.
Fantastic.
And then it'll be a little shocking actually. So like for my tight end situation, because I looked at those notes, it changed everything. I actually changed my entire selection except obviously the top few.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll get to tight ends in a few, and I'm interested to see how those decisions were affected for you. But we'll start with quarterbacks. I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. Do you guys both have Patrick Mahomes as your number one ranked quarterback?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, this guy, doesn't really need too much argument, doesn't really need too much fanfare, right? He just won the Super Bowl with like no receivers. All due deference to Travis Kelce, who we'll talk about in a few minutes. But Patrick Mahomes,
3 years in a row, I think.
Patrick Mahomes is the number one quarterback on everybody's board, unless you're trying to like grab a headline or something like that. If you're trying to make a hot take, then you change somebody up. But Mahomes is number one. So we can start our conversation at number two. So, John, who do you have as your number two quarterback?
I'm going to go with Josh Allen.
Interesting. And Anthony, before you explain it, let's just lay ours out, and then we'll see where we land and see if we have any overlap.
Anthony, I have Allen too.
You have Allen as well. Okay. I went with a different quarterback with my number two. So you guys, John, talk about Allen for a minute.
So the reason why I'm going to choose Josh Allen is number one, he gets rushing touchdowns. The Buffalo Bills have not found an identity with the run game, and that creates Josh Allen's value even more than most quarterbacks. And I think that Josh Allen has enough weapons in terms of his receiver core. Obviously, Stephon Diggs is I know that there's buzz going on with that, but I think Josh Allen is, in terms of fantasy, only fantasy purposes, is just an absolute stud. I'm okay with somebody pushing him down to third because, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Josh Allen is my clear-cut number two, and it's the reason why that is because the offense is literally tailored around him. He's the number one running option, and on top of that, he's throwing the football. He's gotten a lot better. He's getting better and better every single year throwing the football, and that's the reason why I choose Josh Allen as my second.
Anthony, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think he can go, down a spot, but without any of the chatter, just everything going in. No, Stephon Diggs not being an issue. I think their run game is actually going to be better this year. I think Damian Harris is going to be better for them than what they've had. And maybe we'll give Josh Allen that opportunity to not do those stupid plays that he gets himself in. And maybe, I think he'll just be he'll be able to focus on being not having to do it all by himself or on those plays. And I think he'll still consider take that number two spot.
See, you touched on it right there, Anthony. And I think that's what really ultimately I had Mahomes and Allen written down 1-2, and then I squeezed the name Hurts in between them. Like it's like squeezed in between them. So I was like, wait a minute. The team around Hurts is just better than the team around Allen. And after Stephon Diggs, who's actually very disgruntled right now, and that could be something that plays into the preseason. Maybe he misses some, he holds out a little bit or he's, whatever. That could be a problem. But beyond Stephon Diggs, there's really not a lot of passing options or pass catching options. And the run game might be more systemic, in my opinion, than it is player based because they've had a million different guys there and nobody can, they just don't have a running game. And I think it might have to do, at some point you kind of have to look around and be like, all right, maybe it's not just the running back. Maybe there's something systemic about our system that the run just doesn't work as well, or maybe we need to rework things. So I'm just playing the devil's advocate on that one. But Hurts' two receivers smash. Like Diggs ranks with A.J. Brown, sure. But Devonta Smith is far, far, far better than any other pass catcher on the Buffalo Bills. And Dallas Goedert is the better pass catching tight end. He's a better playmaker than anything the Bills have. And, the run game in Philadelphia works. And it kind of almost doesn't matter who they have. So for me, Hurts was the number two quarterback because Anthony, what did he finish last year?
Hurts?
Yeah,
3.
3. And he behind who? Mahomes and Allen?
Yeah.
Hurts was because he was injured at the end of the year. That's right. Okay, because he was like the number one quarterback in fantasy for a long time, and then he missed a bunch of games at the end of the season. How could I forget? And so, did you guys have Hurts as your number 3 quarterback, or was there somebody
Yeah.
different?
Hurts is my 3, yeah.
Okay, yeah. See, so I had Allen 3. So Mahomes, Hurts, Allen, and you guys had Mahomes, Allen, Hurts. But I think that right there is tier number 1. If you guys may or may not agree, I think that's tier number 1 of the quarterbacks, and then the next couple guys we talk about will form the next tier. So, and to me, this is where my sort of questions started to sort of bubble up, but I felt pretty good about my number 4. I'll go ahead and reveal first. I put Joe Burrow in as my number 4 quarterback. Anthony, you have the same. How about you, John?
I put Joe Burrow as my 4th as well. I was really. Let's actually talk about it. Actually, with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is an absolute stud. Let's just get that out of the way.
Yes,
he's a great pure passer. He knows how to use his feet. He is awesome. He's got a great offense. Got receivers to the core. The run game has been pretty balanced, a well balanced offense, and just he's just a beast. And also another thing, he's been available. Besides his rookie year where he tore his ACL, the guy's been available. He has not been hurt. He's been an absolute, he's been on the field, healthy, and that's why I picked Joe Burrow as my 4th.
Anthony, you got anything on Burrow?
But I mean, I almost want to squeeze him into that tier 1. He's that good. You know what I mean? He could question himself to be there, and he can squeeze himself in that 3. And to me, it's one of those things. Is it's going to be in that direction. So like Burrow could squeeze into that 3rd spot if Allen does progress back. So he's almost in that tier 1 for me, and he does have a twin wide receivers of Chase and Higgins. That's. You can't, you can almost compare that to your AJ Brown, Devontae Smith situation.
Oh, for sure. That might be maybe even better, but it's
right.
certainly equal.
Certainly comparable. So that there's no reason why he isn't or shouldn't be in that 4, and he finished 4 last year.
Fantastic. Yeah, and it's interesting that you brought up the tier that he could be pushed into the number 1. I feel like without the rushing is what puts Hurts and Allen above Joe Burrow. If it wasn't for all the rushing value, Burrow is the easy 2 because he's just that good of a passer of the football, and his receiving core is just that good. But I had a tier break after Allen, and then I kind of put a tier break after Burrow, and I was like, well, wait, do I want to cross out the tier break between Allen and Burrow, or do I want to leave it there? So like Burrow, yeah, he's kind of arguably in that first class as well. I completely agree with you, Anthony. I think that he deserves mention there because he's a threat to throw 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns every single season. And he does add a little bit of rushing. I think, John, you mentioned he adds a little bit of rushing on the ground. So I fully agree. Yeah, he's mobile. he's mobile. But okay, so now this is where things might start to get a little bit interesting. Anthony, who you got as your number 5 quarterback?
And this is strictly because of rushing. And I think if you take the rushing aspect, it kind of changes everything. And I got Lamar. I got Lamar 5.
Same, John.
I'm going to do Lamar Jackson. I would actually like to put Lamar Jackson in that 1, 2, 3 tier, but the guy simply can't stay healthy. The guy's injured every single year. Just based off it, let's cut it down. Lamar Jackson is one of the best running quarterbacks we've ever seen. But I think this year, if he can actually stay healthy and actually add a little bit more to the passing game, we might be moving Lamar up to that top 3 tier. But the reason why I put him 5 is because the guy simply just can't stay healthy. There are times in seasons where he's like the number 1 quarterback and he just gets hurt. He cannot stay healthy for a full season. That's why I have Lamar Jackson at number 5.
Yeah, on a points per game basis, he can score with any quarterback, especially because of the rushing. But the thing that is interesting most to me, of course, like I think we all probably ranked, assuming everybody stays healthy all year. You know what I mean? Like just like for the rankings, you have to assume. But you're right, John. That's a guy who's, I have another player that's a little bit later in my rankings who, you have to talk about those types of real life concerns as well. But Lamar has a new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, who I know that I've spoken about to you guys as far as way back in the day when the Jets were doing head coach searches, that Todd Monken's name was being bandied about. He's a really great offensive mind. He's aggressive. He's ingenuitive. He was the offensive coordinator for the Georgia Bulldogs, who just won national championships. So he knows how to work with the players that he has, and he's been brought in presumably to get a little bit more passing game going in Baltimore. So I like Lamar's upside if he can stay healthy. I think that he might throw a little more. He might surprise some people. So I think he's a comfortable number 5 for me and for all of us. John, who you have after Lamar? Because I put another tier break right here. I was like, this is where things like you, John. You said 6 was like 6 is where my questions started. So, John, who do you have at 6?
I think this is a really comfortable number 6 with mine, and I'll say it with confidence. Justin Herbert with new offensive coordinator, Kellen
Moore.
So I'm going to put it this way. Kellen Moore in Dallas was a top 5 offense for quite some time and was a very good OC down in Dallas. Very smart, very intuitive.
No. I'm saying this is a smart point out of you. Keep going. I love this point out of you because I would have said it if you didn't.
But I honestly think he's one of the great offensive coordinators in the NFL. And I think that we haven't even seen the best of Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, in my opinion, could be one of those steals in the draft. I thought that this was a great pickup for the Chargers, and I can easily say that Justin Herbert is easily number 6 on my board.
Fantastic. Anthony, you must be feeling pretty good right now.
Well, yeah, because that's the same one I have. That's my boy. Come on now. Come on now. Listen, he's yet again, if he's healthy and his minus the rushing with the quarterback arm, he's in the tier of the top guys. He has a top tier arm. If we said no rushing, he's in the top 4 for me, top 3. He's got that arm. Last year, he finished not what we wanted or I wanted, but he had sustained that injury, and I think that kind of just stood with him that whole scar tissue and situation.
100%.
They picked up another rookie, another receiver because they still got Keenan Allen, big question mark with age, but still a threat nonetheless. Mike Williams. They made it what they could with a bunch of those little rookies they had. Eckler staying. Yeah, I thought he's gonna throw. I think he's gonna throw for the most yards this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that you guys both nailed it. I also had Herbert as number 6, and the offensive coordinator, John. Great point. I'm excited to see just like Lamar. I'm really excited to see Lamar with Todd Monken. I'm really excited to see Herbert with Kellen Moore.
I had Herbert ahead of Lamar, but then I'm like, you can't not put the rushing and not worry about the health. You have to do that.
Yeah, the rushing is disproportionately valuable for quarterbacks in fantasy football, and I've been scratching my head all year or all off season as to how to fix that in the scoring. And there's just no easy way. If we were on my fantasy league, I'm sure I could do it because I'd be able to do rushing quarterback rushing yards points that specific, but nonetheless. Okay.
Well, real quick, we know Lamar was hurt, but last year he finished 14th overall, and Herbert 11th. Go ahead.
I think both of those guys are going to beat that this year. Both of them very easily are going to get better than that.
They're both in the top 10. Go ahead.
John,
7.
John, number 7. Who's your number 7 guy? I think I have a feeling.
Hey, you guys are going to yell at me for this one, but I'm going to go with Tua Tagovailoa.
Wow. I really thought you were going to with something else.
Oh, yeah, me too. You took me by surprise there. Okay, go ahead, John. Talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you, man. Health's the biggest concern, but when he plays, Miami wins, and Miami's offense is one of the best in the NFL. When he plays, that offense is clicking. That guy is, Tyreek Hill said it, man, and people were laughing at him because he was leaving Patrick Mahomes. Tua Tagovailoa can throw a ball, man. The guy, he can get your rushing yards. My biggest thing about Tua Tagovailoa is obviously the health, but this guy can easily be the 7th best quarterback in the NFL. The guy is just an absolute stud. When he plays, he's freaking good, man. So I'm going to put, and I know that a lot of people are not going to put Tua Tagovailoa up in number 7, but I'm putting up Tua as number 7 as my quarterback.
Interesting. Hey, Anthony, is Tua in your top 12?
I originally had him out, but because I really don't think he's gonna play. I literally have like, you gamble me now. I'm like, he's missing games.
Okay.
So, but I'm like, if he doesn't miss any games, yes. But there's
what
two
number is he on
people
your
I
list?
could. 12.
Wow, so you're the lowest. I'm glad I went to you first.
No, 11. I'm sorry, 11. 11.
I'm in the middle. I have him at 9, and I have a big asterisk. I have a big asterisk next to him because he could be. I think he could outperform that 9. Like John, I'll say this. I still put him at 9 because even when he hits his ceiling, there's still 2 more guys that I think that are still better than him. He's still my number 9 at his ceiling, but the asterisk is more, I guess, because I think he could drop if he misses games. But I again, I had to project everybody for a full season, and Tua is no different. Even though I think, I've been on records from the very beginning that he should just retire, but he's not going to. He's going to play. He's got 2 insane receivers. His offensive coordinator is the head coach essentially, and they're fucking brilliant. So that offense is gonna fucking explode with points. And if he's healthy, I agree with John. He's gonna be real good. However, I think my guy at number 7, Trevor Lawrence, might be even better because he was supposed to be the second coming or the third coming or the fourth coming or however many comings there were. Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence gets Calvin Ridley, who I don't think is going to be necessarily like back to wide receiver 1 ace stud Calvin Ridley, but he strengthens that receiver core in a big way. They have good running backs. They have a good head coach. Their team is on the up and up. I think Trevor Lawrence is poised to finally break out because the thing is he has to take that step forward and become like Andrew Luck or Peyton Manning or whatever to live up to his original billing, right? So like, why not now? So that's the guy who, rather than bet on Tua's injury Tua staying healthy, I took to swing here and put Lawrence as having his breakout season this season and finishing at 7. Anthony, who's your 7th guy?
I got who I thought John was gonna have.
Yeah, me. Okay, I figured this is where we would go. Go ahead, because he's my
Justin
next guy. Justin Fields.
So me and you were, yeah. I put Fields before Lawrence.
All right, there it is. Very, very good. Yeah, I had Fields at 8 and Lawrence at 7, and Anthony had him reversed. Talk about Justin Fields.
The rushing, man. You can't cut down that rushing. That put John into the championship. Like that's,
yeah.
You know what I mean? He could literally have be in the middle of the pack on all quarterback aspects of the game, but just because of his rushing and potential rushing touchdowns, be in the top. So I kind of had to put, like I said, I put him in there. I think that's he finished 6th last year.
John, but yeah, I mean, he had some just outrageous scores in some
he's got DJ Moore
weeks,
now.
and he's got DJ Moore now. That was going to be the question. John, what's your rank on Justin Fields?
I have him at number 9. I have Trevor Lawrence at 8 and Justin Fields at number 9 this year.
Oh, okay. And so, where do you stand on Fields? Let's just talk about him right now, and then we'll circle back to Lawrence for you guys. Fields in another year, and then adding DJ Moore. How do you feel about Fields?
To be honest with you, I think that they definitely helped him out with the offensive line. Adding DJ Moore, I think they're going to ask him a little bit more to throw the football. And here's where he knocks down a little bit of a tier. With him throwing the football a little bit more, has less rushing appeal. He's going to be definitely one of the best in football. But I also think Justin Fields may throw some interceptions. May have a bad game or two if he's actually throw the football or win the game, and not by his feet, but more by throwing the football. I just think that Justin Fields is going to have a little bit of a regression because they're going to ask him not to run as much and ask him to be a little bit more of a passer. I also think Chicago's still rebuilding. I think the offense is going to be a little bit more balanced, which in that case, last year, the Chicago Bears were just a bad team. It was just Justin Fields. And now this year, they're a little bit more well-balanced. They're going to ask Justin Fields to throw the football a little bit more. And I think that has a little bit of a negative impact on Justin Fields, and that's why he's on my number 9.
Do you feel confident with him as your keeper going into next season?
Yes, I do. Okay. I do think that he has value there. I just have a feeling the Chicago Bears just their offense and the way it's built and adding DJ Moore and seeing what Justin Fields is about. I'd like to see him more develop as a passer, but I just don't see him running all over the place like he did last year.
Anthony, what do you got on Trevor Lawrence?
Trevor Lawrence, he finished 8th last year. I have him finishing 8th this year. I agree. He's the Calvin Ridley thing. How impactful is that really going to be? Homeboy is talented, but has been out of the game, and that's always a huge factor. Getting hit with those pads on and not getting hit with those pads on is a huge difference.
Versus getting hit with a suspension.
Get him. Stop gambling, man. If anything, talk to me about that gambling. No, but I think he's gonna, at the very least, have at least the same year as he did last year, if not better. So he progressed, and he can only go further. They're better offense, better coordination. I have him at 8. I have him finishing the same as he did.
John, you've always been a lifelong Jaguars fan. How you feel about your boy T-Law this year?
So I'm gonna say that Jacksonville Jaguars this year. I think that Trevor Lawrence does make a little bit of a leap this year. But I did notice a couple of things about Trevor Lawrence is that he's a little bit of a slow starter in a game. It takes him a little bit of time to get into a rhythm. And he's more of like a third, fourth quarter. He starts building that rhythm. And that's the thing about Trevor Lawrence that worries me in terms of how his progression is in terms of playing the game and things of that sort, is that he doesn't come out firing at all cylinders. I feel like it takes him some time to get acclimated and get the guys on page. I'd like for him to take that leap, but I just cannot ignore that it just takes him some time to get the offense kind of rolling and, for him to start passing and getting into a little bit of a rhythm, because there's just been times where, he's had a bad first half and then kills in the second half. And we saw it all season, and we definitely saw the growth, and, we saw Jacksonville and what he can be. I'm hoping that continues, but he does have a trend.
He's like a young Eli, where he does definitely play better under pressure, and Eli did.
Yeah, but unfortunately for Lawrence, the pressure is because he let the team fall behind by 14 points in the first half. It's not the kind of pressure you want to be playing under,
They got to be doing better things. Oh, look, I have a sticker.
Anthony, who's your number 9 ranked quarterback?
Now, this is where that list came into play, because as you're writing it down, I basically wanted to just write down top 12 names and kind of go from there, right?
I know who it's going to be.
And then you kind of, and it was him being here or next between my next person, and I took things into consideration. This person finished 5th overall last year, and they just drafted a young rookie wide receiver, and that's Geno Smith. Homeboy said, I'm going to wait 10 years until I'm going to fucking light it up. And you got to give respect when respect's due. Okay. And my man had a stellar year last year, and he's not.
I was so happy for Geno.
You can't say that he's going to have the same year, but you can't say that he's going to just fall off a cliff either. So he's got to be in. And to me, you can't not consider him for the top 12. So he's. I put him at my 9.
John, where do you have Geno?
I have Geno at number 11.
Ooh, me too.
I have him at number 11.
Okay, I mean, yeah, Anthony made some pretty good points. I agree with everything that he said. And he was one of those guys who, when you look back at last year, you're like, oh shit, that's right. He had a fucking really good season, and wow, there's no reason why he shouldn't have a really good season this year. They added on offense and don't forget, they added the receiver and the running back. They got Charbonnet as well, so they added a bunch of players on offense there. And Pete Carroll likes to make it happen out there. I think Geno could be poised for another top 10, top 12 finish very easily. I put him at 11. John, who did you have at number 10 in between? I'm actually impressed with myself that I've been able to keep track of it, by the way.
My number 10 is no other, and DC in the city is going to be like, no, Kirk Cousins.
Wow. Yeah, that's
this is a list name. Like, he was questionable.
Look, I'm gonna put it this way: every year we talk about Kirk Cousins, and I think Dave gets sick to his stomach that every time he hears that, like, Kirk Cousins, like, how is this guy fantasy relevant?
They just added another receiver.
Yeah, he's like a top 11 quarterback.
What ranking did he finish last year? Guess.
I'm gonna say 10th, 11th,
9th,
7.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson went berserk last year, guys. Let's not forget.
Right, he went crazy, and like, he was definitely in there. If I'm taking Tua out, kind of thing. He was a guy I would squeeze in, and then there's another name. But continue.
So I'm
gonna go
Cousins. He lost his mind.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins, and I mean, the guy does nothing but freaking stat pad, man. I mean, he's the ultimate stat pad guy. Like, the guy just he throws over 300 yards, gets 3 touchdown passes, like, and he loses the game somehow, or like wins by like a field goal somehow. Like, it's Kirk Cousins, man. He knows how to get it done in fantasy. He might not be the greatest real life quarterback, but he sure knows how to stat pad it.
Damn. Yo, so Anthony, is Cousins on your list? Did he make the top 12 for you? No, see, he didn't make my top 12 either. I put him in at 14. I have him
at 13.
13. Okay. Yeah. See, it's just past the marker.
Man, you guys are hating, man.
Well, hey, listen, there's just guys we like better. Who do you have at 10, Anthony?
You'll never guess.
God.
Is it Dak?
No.
Well, why don't you tell us?
It's Danny Dimes, bro.
God.
Really? That's strong. That's strong. I have him at 13. John, did he make your list?
No, he did not.
Okay, Anthony, talk. Defend yourself here.
No.
Listen. He had a very, very good year last year with not a lot of weapons.
What was his finish?
9.
Okay, go ahead.
He finished 9th overall. You can't take out. He could rush, and he gets rushing touchdowns. And they did add Darren Waller, which, if stay healthy, is going to be a huge threat over the middle. And they do have 2 speedsters as Campbell and Hyatt. So I think he's going to. They're going to go for those long balls. They were dead last in deep over 25-yard plays, and now if they get into the middle of the pack, you know what I mean. So I have him at my 10.
That's a strong argument. I mean, you really can't argue with anything that you said. Like I said, I had Jones just missing the cut at 13, but I could be convinced to swap him out into the 12 spot with the guy I'm looking at, because like I'm looking at it and I'm sort of not even believing that I wrote down the name that I wrote down. Anthony, who was your 11?
John's wearing him.
Aaron Rodgers. There he is. Okay, cool. Because we didn't talk about my 10, so go ahead.
Oh, your 10's Aaron Rodgers?
I have Aaron Rodgers slotted in at 10. Yeah, I put him in there right above Geno. Right after Tua, a healthy Tua.
Oh, I went to the list. I was going to, I wrote down the names, and his was potential on there. He finished 13th last year, and he had a bad year. Right, subpar.
He was terrible.
And he has no Garrett Wilson, and now you add that. I think he finished 13th, and he wasn't. I don't think he was playing like he wanted to win there. He wasn't happy, and I think that changes how you play. And I think he's a little happy in New York. New York's a tough place to play, but coming in there, everybody's excited. Look at John. He bought the fucking jersey. So I think it's one of those things where he has to know, like in New York, like if he has a subpar year, he's done. Like they're gonna like ruin his life.
It's gonna be a prickly relationship between him and the media.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
Think he has a little bounce back year, and puts Garrett Wilson in the top 7 for wide receivers. They're gonna have a great year.
Yeah, I have him at 10. I was the most aggressive with Rodgers, and just for that same reason, that bounce back, that's something to prove, chip on your shoulder. I want to stick it to Green Bay. And you're right, he has Garrett Wilson now. I've been pretty outspoken about how I think the Jets should have drafted a receiver early, JSN early, and given him more help at receiver because I don't think signing Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb is really gonna solve anything for you. It's not really lighting it up. But Garrett Wilson is gonna go berserk this year as long as he stays healthy. I like Rodgers to have a bounce back year, and I put him in at 10. And then we had Gino at 11. I did a little swapperoo because I couldn't even live with myself. I had ranked Dak as my 12th quarterback and Jones as my 13th quarterback, and I swapped him out. I can't, and has nothing to do with Dak. It's all about Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy and their offensive coordinator, who, if I'm not mistaken, is Brian Schottenheimer. And so for that reason, I am out. And I might even just take Dak off my list and put him behind Cousins. But yeah, I like that's where I kind of like lost it, I guess, and put Dak as my 12th quarterback. But I think Daniel Jones is a much more fitting 12th quarterback. Anthony swayed me. You swayed me. John,
What I do?
Who's your 12th?
I'm gonna go with Jared Goff.
Ooh.
That was the sneaky one. Like I was pushing Tua off the list because of just injury, and Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff were both the names because Cousins finished 7th and Goff finished 10th last year.
So he's on your list as well.
No. Tua was my 12. It was between him, Goff, or Cousins for 12, and I was like, Tua has to me make the top 12 list.
So talk about Goff, John.
Yeah, I think that number one, this defense stinks, dude. The defense just stinks. I mean, they didn't do anything in the draft to address it, but this offense is freaking amazing, dude. And I have to can we give Jared Goff his flowers, dude? I mean, this guy was literally shipped out of the Rams, went to a bad team, and Dan Campbell came there, and Jared Goff, man. I mean, he could put up 30 points a game, man. On and off, like he's good, man. Like I got to give it to Jared Goff, man. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is dope. When Jameson, their draft pick from last year, William, he got suspended. I know that. When he gets back from his suspension, he's supposed to be a great addition to that team. They got a great offensive line. Just drafted a running back. They got a well-balanced offense. Why not Jared Goff at 12?
Yeah. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. We just can't see you. You went ghost mode.
All right. I'll fix that. I'll fix that in a second. So is there any quarterbacks that we didn't list that didn't make our list? Like, for example, Deshaun Watson, Derek Carr, Russell Wilson, Anthony Richardson, Kenny Pickett, Kyler Murray, that interests you guys as like long shots?
Deshaun Watson, maybe. Just because like he talent wise when he first came in, maybe a bounce back year and that first settle in. But Murray, I don't know. I mean, without Hopkins, that's a huge loss for any quarterback. But he still has the run threat. Richardson, I don't know. I mean, I just think he's a freak of nature. You guys know how I felt from our QB draft situation. I think that he has potential to be this fucking freak. But does he walk in and do it? I don't know.
I think the person that has to show up the most for this year and just has a lot to prove is Deshaun Watson. A bad franchise that's desperate for a quarterback. Deshaun Watson, a guy that hasn't, with all the allegations that were against him, not playing football for all those years. And to be honest with you, man, he got outplayed by his backup quarterback last year. Straight up, if Deshaun Watson probably didn't, Jacoby Brissett actually held it down. He wasn't too bad. He's winning games for them, and they thrusted Deshaun back in, and I thought that was a bad decision for them. I thought they should have, sorry to say this, man. Money talks. They had to put him in because of the money reasons. And I honestly think that, a full off season, maybe Deshaun Watson, we're talking about him being a top 5 quarterback possibly this year if he could turn it around.
You know who else who needs to really turn around?
What?
Russell Wilson.
Russell needs to turn it around. Yeah, Sean Payton's got his hands full. But
Yeah.
I think they might try to go a little more run heavy, take a little bit off his plate. I like Kyler as a late round quarterback. If you have somebody who you're not so sure about, you just grab Kyler late because he's coming back from injury, and he's like
best
a late.
ball.
Yeah, he's not that bad as a best ball pick because he's going to come back in the season later in the
They
season.
have him ranked at like mid-20s.
Yeah, which is fair because he got a late season injury. All right, so let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back with some tight ends. All right.
That's our break music right there.
There you go. Okay, so everybody has Kelsey as their number one tight end, right? Everybody on the planet Earth has Kelsey as their tight end. Right. Okay, cool. Yeah. So did you guys all rank Andrews as your number 2 tight end by any chance?
Yeah.
Very cool. We can move right on to number 3, who we all ranked Hawkinson as our 3rd ranked tight end. No. Anthony?
I have Hawkins 3.
Hawkinson 3? So Johnny, talk about Kyle Pitts.
No, I'm going to go with George Kittle.
Oh, really? In fantasy football. Look at you. Okay, talk about it.
I just think that George Kittle, when healthy, man, is just he's a big part of that 49ers offense. He's finally healthy. I think he has just the Shanahan system is just flawless, dude. I mean, it's just flawless. And I was really in between Hawkinson and George Kittle. I'm going to go with a guy that is just in a better system, a better offensive mind. So I'm going to go with George Kittle at my
He finished 2nd overall.
Hawkinson, so you had Hawkinson 4, John?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And Anthony, who did you have it for?
Waller
at 4?
This guy's smoking crack, bro.
Yeah, that's crazy. Explain yourself.
Well, he's if healthy, he's gonna be. He's a fucking potential to be the top 5. Why not? He's gonna be their. I think he's gonna be the major part of their passing fucking offense. I think for sure.
Well, he has to be because they don't have any receivers.
I bet he finishes in top 5.
I will bet you that he doesn't.
What? It's here live. You heard it here live.
Yep. That's an easy bet. I'll take that one. Waller, not a top 5 tight end. Easy money. So, okay, at 4, I had Pitts. at 4, Kyle Pitts. I just feel like it's inevitable that he's going to be good because he's just good. The big question mark, of course, is going to be volume, passing offense volume. Is he going to get enough catches? Is he going to get enough touches to really put those fantasy stats up? But I think that that's also the concern with Kittle in a lot of ways, not to the same degree, of course, because the offense, like John mentioned, is so much better. But Kittle is my number 5 tight end right behind Pitts because he's just too good at blocking. And like when everybody else is healthy, Kittle is still like the 3rd or 4th or 5th option on a really talented team, and they'd rather have him block and Christian McCaffrey run for 700 yards per game. And so, Anthony, who's your number? Did we talk about your 4 yet? Yeah, we did.
4 was Waller.
That's crazy.
John,
that's crazy. Like my brain like already has rejected that fact. I can't remember it already.
I'm gonna go with Goddard. Dallas Goddard.
Okay. Anthony, how about you?
My 5 is Kittle.
Your 5 was Kittle. My 5 was Kittle as well. My 6 was Goddard. So Anthony,
6
Johnny,
is Goddard.
Your 6 is Goddard too. Nice, John. Talk about Goddard.
Yeah, I mean, one of the better tight ends in football. A really good offense. And Jalen Hurts really relies on him on getting first downs. I mean, a lot of people, those tight ends, you got to pay attention to offenses. And I think Jalen Hurts, when it's 3rd down, Dallas Goddard is like just a blanket, man. And he just gets volume, man. And when A.J. Brown's getting covered from a receiver, I mean, to be honest with you, man, he is easily the 3rd best option in that offense, easily.
I agree. Anthony, you have anything to add about Goddard?
No, I don't like to talk about any Eagles players.
I was about to say, is a player you hate to love?
Yeah, I mean, I only pushed him ahead of my number 7 just because I think he's gonna progress from last year. He's gonna have a better year than he did last year, and just be more involved.
The problem with Goddard has always been health. He's a freak when he's on the field. He does miss games quite a bit. My 7 is Waller. That's where I slotted Waller in right behind Goddard because I do think he's going to have, a big role in that Giants offense as well. I think 4 is just like berserk. That's some wild stuff. That's whatever you're vaping on, man. It's too strong. I got Waller at 7. John, who do you have at 7?
7, I have Waller as well.
Okay, John, Anthony, who's your 7th?
Ingram.
I have him next. Go ahead, talk about it.
Listen, he had a great year there, and Trevor Lawrence utilizes his tight end, and they had a great connection last year. Red zone threat for sure. He had a decent amount of touchdowns. Finished 6th. I think he's gonna yet again. I think for that whole Jaguars offense, they're gonna have at least the same exact year, if not better. So I gotta keep him around that same mark, doing at least a accurate year, consistent year.
Ingram?
Yeah, I didn't mention my number 6. I had number
sorry.
6 at Evan Ingram.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I had number 6 Evan Ingram ahead of Darren Waller.
Okay. Sorry about that. Missed it.
Yeah. So
you've always been a Jaguars fan.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go finally number 8. Your boy, David Njoku.
Oh yeah, nice.
David Njoku. If Deshaun Watson is going to have a successful season, he's gonna have to throw it to David Njoku, one of the most talented tight ends in damn football. Give me David Njoku all day, every day at number 8. Love him. I think that he can easily go into the top 5 conversation in tight ends. Sleeper. Easy.
See, to me, he's got that kind of talent. He's definitely that good, but I just don't think his role in that offense, and like Deshaun Watson historically, even when he was in Houston playing really well, just didn't target the tight end. Now, I don't know if that's because they didn't have a good one, which is true. They didn't have a good one, and they had DeAndre Hopkins, who who else do you have? You don't need to throw to anybody else. But he historically doesn't tend to throw to tight ends, so he got bumped down for me. He's number 11 for me, but I love the player, love the talent, and when you watch him play, he's a freak of nature. Like, he had some plays last season where he caught some touchdown passes, and it was just, he's incredible to watch. He's really, really fun. Anthony, who's your 8?
My 8 is just because of talent and because he has to be on this list or he's going to kill himself. It's Kyle Pitts, my 8th.
Wow, way down there. John, where was Pitts on
your list? He
list?
had a horrible year last year.
I haven't even mentioned him yet.
That's what I'm saying. Where is he on your list?
He's number 10 on my list.
Wow. So I have him at 4. John has him at 10, and Anthony's at 8. Anthony, talk about it.
He finished 33rd.
It's true.
And he played like he played a lot of games.
Every game.
Yeah.
He was there the whole time. So like
33rd at the tight end position. There's 32 teams.
32 teams. Like I originally was like, I can't not have him in this list. Right? Like I was like, a big reason of the backhand of this list is when I looked at the list, you're surprised that there's actually one team that had 2 tight ends in the top 10. And I had to try and work those guys in. No, I had to work one of those guys in, and I was going to take them both in and take Pitts out. But I have to work Pitts in number 8. The guy is a extremely talented player. They just got Bijan. I think they're still going to like not have a good year, but maybe they not have a good year and pass to him.
Passing volume is definitely a concern.
It's there. It was there last year, but like let's get it this year.
Well, I heard a stat where he had the worst targets of like any player in the NFL last year. Like his targets downfield were so uncatchable that it was like statistically impossible for him to get numbers because he just couldn't. Like the ball was just not there. Mariota was so bad. And Ritter showed a little something at the end of the year, so it could be fun. But I agree that their volume is just not going to be there. John, who's the next tight end on your list?
Well, so I'm going to go back to number 9. I'm going to do Pat Fairmouth.
I don't
wherever.
think we're going back. I think we're on number 9.
We're
So
on
you got
9.
So yeah, I think that Kenny Pickett was starting to really develop as a passer, and obviously utilizing his check down. Obviously, Najee Harris was not a big help for the development of Kenny Pickett. So I thought he did a very good job on being a blanket, a safety blanket for him. So he slides in as my number 9. Anthony?
Anthony, go ahead.
My
Sorry.
number 9 is Cole Kmet.
Ooh.
He actually had a very good year last year. Fields coming into himself this year. DJ Moore, so it kind of opens up that ball game a little bit for them. I think he finished 7th last year.
Your mom comes into herself.
That's rough. Oh wait, look. Oh man, I hope. See, that's what's messed up. You can't do anything to your frozen self. But I think he has a great year as well with DJ Moore this year. I think the Bears are coming out and Fields is throwing.
Yeah, I like that one too, Anthony. I actually slide Cole Kmet in my number 11. I think that Cole Kmet has built some rapport with Justin Fields. I think that if Justin Fields is going to be successful in moving the ball and developing as a passer, Cole Kmet is definitely a big part of that. Obviously, DJ Moore being there, but I think Cole Kmet definitely being a move the chains kind of guy. Like to pick. Is Dave back with us?
I'm
Yes,
here.
he is.
Is he on your list though, John? Komet?
Yes, Cole Kmet, number 11.
Okay, I have him at 13. He was just outside my list. Anthony, where's Firemuth on your list?
10.
Okay, so yours the same as me. John had him at 9. I had him at 10 as well. Did we talk about? Okay, so my number 9 that you guys didn't mention. He's the guy who I think could burst onto the scene because just like Darren Waller, he's one of only 2 targets on his team. Chig Okonkwo from the Tennessee Titans. He's my number 9. It's going to be Treylon Burks and Chig Okonkwo, who actually, if you look at the stats and look at the numbers, like per game, and the small stats because he didn't play a ton, he had a pretty good year and he was pretty effective offensively. So I like Chig Okonkwo as my number 9, and then I again had Muth at 10, and I had Njoku at 11. John, where are we on your list?
I'm at my last one, number 12.
Go ahead.
Oh man, this one's gonna definitely hurt Anthony's feelings right now. But I'm gonna go with Houston Texans tight end Dalton Schultz. If Bryce Young is going to have any type of success, why not go with a guy that's super reliable? Dalton Schultz was super reliable for Dak Prescott. That's the reason why they signed him. Great blocker, also can move the chains. I'm gonna go with Dalton Schultz as number 12 on my list.
Well, only Schultz I know is Dutch.
Ah, nice.
Well, I think I'm on my 11.
Go ahead.
I have Njoku at 11.
Okay, same as me. And who's your 12?
See, now this is where it came in because when I was like, all right, if I take Pitts out, I have to work both of these players from the same team that are tight ends. So I was like, I had to pick one. So Juwan Johnson, my number 12.
I looked at him. I considered him as like a late guy. He did not make my list, but he put up the stats, but to me that feels fluky. To me,
Taysom Hill, bro.
His no, you see, Taysom Hill's stats come from a whole bunch of different positions and stuff, so his stats are fluky. But no, Juwan Johnson felt a little fluky to me. I could end up eating those words, but Juwan Johnson did not make my list. My number 12 tight end, Greg Dulcich, who is the young tight end who he flashed some pretty big playability, and he's going to be Sean Payton's new tight end toy to play with. So I mean, he's definitely athletic. I mean, you can't really say he compares to Jimmy Graham because it's hard to compare anybody like a Hall of Famer like that, but he's talented and he's in a situation where he could be catching some balls. They have a couple of receivers, but they might not keep all those receivers. Dulcich made my list at number 12. Anybody you guys that we didn't talk about that you guys want to mention? There's only one other. Go ahead.
How about that rookie in that Buffalo
Kincaid?
Dalton?
Kincaid?
Yeah.
Rookie tight end.
He's a little too overhyped.
Yeah, to me, I think he's a little bit too overhyped. And is he really going to take over Dawson Knox's targets?
I think they play different positions. I think that what we're being told is that he's going to be more of a slot move off the line tight end, and so basically they'll both be on the field at the same time, and they just don't essentially they're not going to have Dalton Kincaid blocking. They'll have Knox blocking and Kincaid running pass routes. So that, I mean, theoretically is why people are saying, oh, well, then he's not a regular traditional tight end, so we don't have to apply the rookie tight end rule to him, which could be true. But right now his ADP has been driven up so high that it's like, you know what, I'm out, and I also think that it's just one of those things where people are desperate for Buffalo to have more options on offense than just Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. They're just like, okay, Gabe Davis. Okay, whoever,
the rookie they had last year.
Yeah, I mean, any of these guys, like every guy who goes to Buffalo, it's like, oh, he's a guy. Like, what about this guy? And so far, it's just like, you know what? I'll believe it when I see it, because
he seems to think he's talented, but you got to go with that rookie season tight end rule, right? Like, what really is?
I would default to that, yes, because even if he has like the best tight end season for a rookie of all time, you're still gonna be disappointed with him for fantasy. He's not going to be. It's still not. Those still aren't good numbers. Like Kyle Pitts had a great season for fantasy or for a rookie, but for fantasy, he was still like blah. Nobody was happy to have.
You hear like the one person that like just is outside that is like number 13 for me.
Go ahead.
Conklin, bro.
Conklin? Who?
Yeah. Jets.
Who?
From the Jets, the time.
Tyler Cock. The Cock.
Conklin, the way we call him. I put Trey McBride, the rookie. He was on Arizona. But now Zach Ertz is gone, and so is DeAndre Hopkins. So they're gonna have to throw the ball to somebody. So McBride, who's somebody who made my late list, he was number 14 for me after Komet. So I think we touched on a lot of the names, and for the most part, we had a lot of agreement. There was just a couple of things that we shifted around, but obviously Anthony's wrong about Darren Waller. We all know that. But other than that, and what's his name? Daniel Jones. I mean, this guy was not he was. What we know is that Anthony was just at the end.
I had Danny Jones at 10.
At 10,
he's like, I'm a Giant fan. I have to be so loyal. I got to put him.
I had him at 10.
He tried. You could tell he tried. You could tell he tried not to. You could tell he tried not to do that, but he just couldn't help himself. It's like with Danny Dimes at 10, that was like, okay, I'm being conservative. And then he's like, oh, Waller's 4. Oh, he couldn't hold it. Like I gotta, Darren Waller. Yeah, he's my guy. So yeah, there it is. Quarterbacks and tight ends. Next show, we will do running backs. We'll do the top 24 running backs. And then the show after that, we'll do the top 24 receivers. I was going to say the top 36 receivers, but that would take us six days. So we'll do 24 running backs and 24 receivers, and we'll rock and roll. But that'll do it for the quarterbacks and tight ends episode. I will see you guys next time, where it's always Sunday.